everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from terrifying Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on today's show, beyond all the weirdness in the world that's happening everywhere else,
Listen,
Salt Lake City.
Y'all think you're experiencing something with this whole, COVID-19 coronavirus shit. Oh, no.
No.
The Lord decided to drop an extra little bit of shit on Salt Lake City today, the day that we record. So
Woke up to a fairly hefty earthquake.
yeah,
Wasn't bad as far as little shakers go. This thing shook.
yeah, it rocked us. So Armageddon is happening. We're gonna actually just talk about we're gonna talk about what it was like to experience this kind of weirdness when we were in religion versus what it's like as non-religious people. Yeah. And just see who wins.
Well, I have my theory about who's going to win.
Okay.
But nonetheless, just because we started off with a mention of the earthquake, I thought my first story today, Dan, could be about some damage that happened here in Salt Lake City.
Well,
did you know, everybody?
Nothing bad can happen because the Salt Lake City is the headquarters of the Lord's Church. So surely nothing can go wrong here.
No. And in fact, as you just mentioned, headquarters of the LDS Church, and also home to the absolutely beautiful Temple Square, named after the temple.
The eponymous Temple Square.
Which is currently, Dan, undergoing a seismic upgrade. Isn't that interesting?
Oh my gosh, the whole thing. Yeah. It's not a good time to visit Temple Square because it's not beautiful right now. It's under construction.
Yeah, they've already torn down a couple buildings and everything, but not the temple. The temple is going to stay, and they're making it seismically sound so that it can withstand the next earthquake. Yeah. But there was damage today to the temple. If you happen to be driving by or see it anytime soon, my guess is they will repair this fairly quickly. But the famous Angel Moroni statue on top of one of the six spires, right?
Glimmering gold above the city.
Beautiful Angel Moroni, who famously has a trumpet, right? He's sort of heralding to all nations or whatever the line is.
It's a vuvuzela.
That's true. That's true. I guess it's not really a trumpet. You would think has little buttons.
This is
Charlie
a long
Parker
horn.
or something.
And it's halfway to an alpenhorn.
Yeah. And we found something out about that horn today. It wasn't actually connected to anything.
It wasn't properly attached.
It just fell off during the earthquake.
It wiggled its way out. How did that happen?
I don't know. Things were shaken, right? Yeah. And I don't know if you noticed this strange phenomenon, but the way that our house is oriented on our lot, things were clear. There was more sort of things knocked over that could fall off a wall or whatever, or off of a shelf, that were sort of, what would it be, east-west facing rather than north-south. I think it was a good side-to-side action was happening.
Oh,
right?
Sure.
And so I wonder, because the Angel Moroni faces east, I wonder if that temple was really rocking good, right?
Yeah.
And clearly it was. And yeah, I would have loved to see it more than anything, Dan.
Yeah.
Been there, hear the sound of it, bing of it falling down.
Oh yeah, it would have been amazing. And here's the funny thing is that so now it looks like the Angel Moroni. I actually went and saw it today because I wanted to see that angel without his trumpet.
Yeah, I might need to go by.
And it looks like he's holding his hand in an open sort of OK sign with his fingers down, like he's made a hole in his hand. And now it kind of looks like he's just looking through it. Like he's holding it out from him and he's just kind of looking through his hand.
It's like a crucified Jesus, right? He's just looking through his hand. What's this all about?
Oh my God!
This is not the first time, though, Dan, that damage has befallen an angel Moroni on top of an LDS temple. So they know these things can happen. This shouldn't shake anybody's faith, as you would hope it to. Do you remember just a few years ago, lightning striking the Bountiful Temple and damaging the angel Moroni that's on top of that one?
No, I
Took
didn't
them
know
a
that.
couple months apparently to get it repaired, but
wow,
they eventually did. It was all scorched. You don't remember this? I know we talked about it on the show.
Oh, okay.
But nonetheless,
here's what I do. Here's what I do know. I know that because my dad used to work for the LDS Church, and he said that one time, this was back in the 90s, they did a full cleaning of the LDS temple, and when they got to Brother Moroni up on top, he apparently had numerous bullet holes in him.
No,
just crackpots taking pot shots
in the middle of the city.
Yeah. Apparently.
That is why. I wonder how old those bullet holes were.
Yeah. I have
no
idea.
Were they from early 1900s, or was somebody going around in the 70s shooting at the
it's hard to know.
temple?
It's just hard to know.
I love it. That's delicious.
Yeah. You tell me, you said that it shouldn't shake anybody's faith that the horn fell out of his hand, but it shook my faith in that church in that I thought that they would at least do a couple drops of super glue or something. why is this horn not attached? How is it able?
A couple screws.
Apparently they were just using gravity to keep it in place. They didn't bother to just bolt it in. What the hell are you doing?
They've got
little
the money.
weld.
It's not like they're hurting for cash.
No, they could have done it by helicopter and if just for fun, just as a joke. I saw one meme that said, "Don't worry, this will only cost $100 billion to fix."
Funny.
Anyway, there you go. I'm going to move us along to Europe, specifically Sweden. Where I think we may have talked about this. A couple of nurses made headlines by suing because they were fired from their jobs for refusing to participate in abortions.
Oh,
they were in the midwife profession.
Yeah. Okay.
And apparently they were fired, and they sued because they didn't think that they should be fired. They were discriminated against, they said, for being Christians. And now the discrimination ombudsman has decided that there was no discrimination in the case and closed it. This was just part of their jobs. So amazing to hear about that kind of horrific Christian discrimination. No, wait. I mean, people actually taking women's health care seriously and saying that, yes, it is your job to, if you're in women's health care, this is just part of the deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Now I know that I like ombudsman. I think they do, it's an important job.
Yeah.
It's a funny word though.
It's a great word.
Ombudsman. I don't know why. I've always found it an odd word.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
All right.
I'm going to make you're the official TGIA ombudsman for
odd words.
For odd words, yes.
Okay. Let's see which one. Okay, Dan.
Yeah.
COVID-19. It's happening.
It's the best of the COVIDs, really.
I don't know. Wait until you see COVID-20.
I'm glad that they didn't stop at 16 or 17, though. They needed to push on to get to the good one, and they did.
Yeah, well, they're there. Oh boy, Dan. As with a lot of things, a lot of tragic things that are going on in the world, there's always those who can sniff out opportunity. Right?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, why not? Why not make a little bit of money, right? Off of everybody's fears
Right.
about
I call
getting
them
sick.
toilet paperpreneurs.
Yes, and we've had a lot of it in this country. We had famously there was that guy who like stockpiled, not really stockpiled. He went around and bought up all the hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
To like sell it all on Amazon. The New York Times did a story on him. I'm sure everybody's seen it. Well,
what a piece of shit.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Well, in Malaysia, there are also some hand sanitizer-preneurs.
Okay. Profiteers, we'll call them.
Profiteers. Preying on people's fears. They have begun selling halal hand sanitizer. Because apparently Muslims, like, everything has to be, pork free or alcohol free, right?
Oh, alcohol.
Alcohol free.
Okay.
Right?
Which
Now,
is really the only active ingredient in all of the hand sanitizers.
Yeah, exactly, right? And like the
pork, not so much. You don't see a lot of hand sanitizers that include a lot of pork.
Smearing pork on your hands. I don't know. Like, it probably would kill some things.
Yeah.
Probably encourage other things, though.
Yeah, you never know.
Nonetheless, what it would kill for sure is a good Muslim soul, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so these this halal hand sanitizer, obviously they can't include alcohol as one of the ingredients.
You're right.
But they have listed ethanol as one of the ingredients. And apparently this is working.
Wow, that's they've done a great trick there. I've got some alcohol-free whiskey that they can use too. It's just got some ethanol in it.
Yeah, and just ethanol, no alcohol.
I mean, is it the same thing? I mean, ethanol is basically
the stuff that's in the alcohol that's in the stuff you like, right? That you like to consume is ethanol. I had to look this all up because I was like, I figured I was right, but I needed to just double check and make sure. So that's ethanol, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now the stuff that, ironically, by being shady little bastards and only putting ethanol in it, they're actually making shittier hand sanitizer. You need the isopropyl alcohol or the what's it called, rubbing alcohol, right?
Yeah,
you need that in there too. That stuff is like really potent as like a hand sanitizer, right? And that's the stuff you don't want to drink. That's the stuff that like that wouldn't be a halal sort of issue, right?
You'd think.
It shouldn't be, because it's used obviously in medical settings and whatnot to sanitize things. And so these are some shady bastards. And
that's
apparently
amazing.
they're selling them for a lot more, right? In order to get the halal stuff, it comes at a premium, about $8 a bottle. Dan, can you believe it?
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Yeah, well, you can trick Allah if you use the right sciencey sounding words.
Oh yeah, no, he doesn't know. Here's the deal with Allah. He doesn't know science.
No, that guy doesn't know. He doesn't know what he's doing.
He doesn't know science at all. So you just use it from different words. He's just
is that alcohol? No, it's ethanol. Oh, okay. You guys go ahead. Is that
he doesn't
pork?
bother with science.
Yeah.
Obviously, look at his favorite little religion.
Yeah. Not great.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Okay, well, profiteer, just as a friendly reminder to all of our listeners, I'm sure you all know, but profiteering off of a tragedy is not okay. We'll just we'll just make that our public service announcement.
It's
the more
bullshit.
you know. Do. All right, well, I'm going to take us to Washington, D.C., where I have another follow-up from a previous story. This one involves the Bible Museum, owned by the
my favorite, the Smithsonian Bible Museum, right?
No.
Isn't that
no? The Smithsons are not involved. This one's owned by the Green family, that run. They're the Hobby Lobby people, and they've just it was a rough go for a while with that one because they kept they just snatched up every antiquity they could find from the Holy Land, and it turned out that a lot of them were stolen and fake and all sorts of stuff. And one of the things that we reported was fake a while back in 2018 was 5 fragments of. They had a whole bunch of fragments. They had like 16 fragments of Dead Sea Scrolls, and it turns out that they found out back in 2018 that 5 of those were fake. They didn't. Yeah. Now they had all these other fragments from other sources, and they definitely didn't want those to be fake, but I think confidence was shook. So they hired a person named Colette Lull, who is a fraud expert, to look into it. Now, she insisted on a few conditions, which were great. She was very smart about it. She said that museum officials were not allowed to offer any input. She was going to examine them independently and then make a report, and the museum had to agree that the final report would be published. It would be made public no matter what the findings were. Oh. So the museum agreed to that.
Right. Yeah.
And all of them are fake. Every last scroll that they had.
All of them?
They are all fake. And probably made by the same forger as the other ones. They got them all from different sources, but probably it all was forged because it was all sort of a piece in terms of how it was done.
Oh my God!
It does seem that they are all on ancient leather. So whoever this forger was found ancient leather and then found a way to manipulate the ink and everything to make it look like they're actual.
Very good. I think they should shut this museum down. Regroup, right? Redo the displays and then reopen it as the Museum of Museum Failures. Right? Like, museum. Collect up a few other examples of museums that just weren't a great idea. Right?
It'll be popularly known as the Oopsie.
Oh my God! Do you have tickets to the Oopsie?
Oh yeah,
they're so hard to get.
We can't make it to the show tonight. We're going to the Oopsie.
Oh God!
They have a great exhibit
money
on
did they blow?
A fake King Tut. I think the museum, like the total amount that they spent on this museum was like $500 million.
No.
Oh yeah.
500 million?
Yes.
With an M?
Well, yeah. Not with a B. That would be a Mormon museum.
Yeah. Very funny. All right, cool. All right, Dan.
Yeah.
We've talked about this coronavirus thing. Even in this episode.
Oh my gosh. It is it is the reason you and I are not even in the same room right now.
I know. Yeah, did we even talk about that at the beginning of the show?
I don't think we talked about that. You and I are on the opposite sides of the valley right now because we're remote recording because we're doing our civic duty and socially isolating like good citizens.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a story about some people who are not socially isolating.
What?
Some Muslim pilgrims in Indonesia. They're attending some kind of pilgrim event thing. I don't know. I can't. It's an event that people have made a pilgrimage to. Right?
Sure.
And basically,
thousands. It's called Coachella.
No. Anyway, thousands of pilgrims from across Asia have what's the date today? As of today, they gathered in Indonesia on March 18th.
God damn it!
Despite public health officials trying to talk them the fuck out of it, despite them being ordered officially to not convene, there were just too many. they couldn't shut it down.
Wow.
Unless the organizers had agreed to help them shut it down. Just under 8,700 people
Jesus.
had already started assembling when this article came out. And they're still coming. There are people from Thailand, Arabia, India, and the Philippines. They're all making their way. One of the organizers, Mustari Baranunan,
Nailed it.
Totally. There were some D's in there you didn't even hear, folks. I mean, anyway, he says, we are more afraid of God.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We are more afraid of God
Yeah,
than
I hear
this
that.
stupid virus. I mean, what, you know? And he says, because everyone's human, we fear illnesses and death. But there's something more to the body, which is our soul. And,
Nope. Incorrect.
And so they're nourishing the soul, and they need that soul nourished by God at this pilgrimage, because, you know, God won't forgive them for missing one pilgrimage that not even everybody's going to, you know.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like if it was so important, you're telling me you can't wrestle up more than 8,700 Muslims?
Listen, when you
It's like
stand before God at the final judgment and he looks at you and says, you had tickets to that thing,
To Coachella.
to Muslim Coachella, and you didn't go just because of a virus? No. You're going down to the bad place.
Yeah. It's Allah. Allah is a dick, and they know he's a dick, right?
Yeah. He's a grumpy motherfucker. They're terrified of that guy.
This is not some easygoing, laid back God, right?
No.
This guy will tear you a new one.
Oh my God. Let me tell you something though. I'm going to take it back to our neck of the woods where our very, very responsible president has now officially said to everybody, don't gather in groups larger than 10 people.
Yeah.
Stay isolated, all those things. And he only said it like 4 weeks later than he should have. So he's an awesome, what a great prez he has turned out to be in this time of crisis. But there's one group, right? But there's one group that he has sort of been a little bit stum about in terms of like, because he's called out some people for meeting. He hasn't called himself out for like shaking everybody's hand right up until a couple days ago and like, doing everything he shouldn't be doing, like the ding dong that he is.
Being in the same room as his vice president.
Being in the same room as so many people who have been exposed to the virus.
Yeah.
So many. Mar-a-Lago was riddled with the stuff. And he was just out there like, let's all drink. Woohoo.
I mean,
anywho,
if you're thinking about governmental continuity, right? Do you want, when there's this contagious disease out in the world and you're telling people to, limit contact and blah, 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 do you want your successor in the event of your death, right, to be exposed to you, be exposing you, and it being exposed to all the same people as you, right?
Oh my God. It's
like,
so amazing. That
doesn't make sense. That it's like, get in different rooms, guys.
Get in different states.
Yeah.
Send Pence back to Indiana.
I like that they're not handling it right, because maybe they'll both, catch it and
die. That'd be great.
Really?
I just want them to die. It'll be fine.
Is there an exemption to the whole like wishing somebody would die? That's kind of bad form, right? Normally, is there an exemption if it's like a world leader?
I've given up on that. I've given up on that.
I think there should be an exemption here.
I think so.
I think you can still be a good person and wish not like you're not setting anything in motion.
No. You
You're
can't
not paying
enact
for
anything.
anything.
You
You're
can't
not
do
pulling
something.
any triggers, right? You're not blowing virus in his face, right? You're not doing any of that stuff.
Oh,
But
definitely
just-
blow
just
virus in his
having-
face. If you
having
get
a
the opportunity
little
and you don't
dream.
cough on him, shame on you.
But just like having a little fantasy, right? Does that
Yeah.
make? I don't think it makes you a bad person.
No.
I've decided.
I think it just makes you a person in this case. Anywho, yeah, he has carved out one little blind spot for himself on this one, and that is the churches of this country. Because let me tell you something, not every church is like our beloved Mormon church, which did responsibly shut down.
Yeah.
Worldwide, they said, don't go to church. We're not doing... Church is canceled for
Until
an
further
indefinite
notice.
amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And their big general conference, they said, don't come. They have canceled everything. And that's the right thing to do.
Yes,
However,
absolutely.
it is, as we discussed last week, an admission that maybe science is real and church less so. Like this God that can protect you from all the things except not anything that's real.
Right.
Anywho, other churches have proven to have more faith.
Then the Mormons?
Than the Mormons,
No.
meaning they're not canceling. And
Good
it's
on
happening.
them. They're sticking to their guns.
They are. They
I
believe.
applaud these people. I applaud them and their level of faith and their willingness to get sick and die for God. I think it's great.
100%. Yeah.
Does that break my rule?
I think your rule is wrong. I have seen so many articles that are all about Liberty University is refusing to close. Jerry
No.
Falwell refuses to close Liberty
Good
U.
for him. Good for him. Stick to
Right?
it, Jerry Falwell.
There was even him and Meta had a great little exchange between a Twitter exchange between him and a man who calls himself as what does he say? He's as right wing as they get, but as a parent, he says, as a parent of 3 of your students, I think this is crazy, irresponsible, and seems like a money grab. To which Jerry Falwell responds, "Nope." Because the person says, so in 7 weeks, because he says, I'm not going to send someone. I'm not going to be the one who's pushing this problem off on someone else by sending 20-year-olds with near zero mortality risk to sit at home for the rest of the semester, often with grandparents in the house who are truly at risk, which is a bizarre way of looking at it. And then when this guy calls him out and says, so in 7 weeks, you'll send thousands of students who now have a higher risk of carrying it back to their grandparents to get it. And then
Wow.
Jerry Falwell says, nope, they'll go off to summer jobs or internships, dummy. That was a quote. That was a direct quote from Jerry Falwell's Twitter. He calls the man dummy. So that's beautiful.
Oh, no, Jerry Falwell. Just doing the Lord's work all
Really?
the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Just
I mean, so there was the Governor Eric
again,
Holcomb of
Dick God.
What?
Dick God. Another Dick God.
Yeah.
He's doing the
They
Lord's
got to
work.
Dick God for sure. So the governor of what state is he governor? Indiana. He actually asked people a while. This was days ago. The numbers keep getting smaller and smaller. Don't be in a room with more than 100 people. Don't be in a room with more than 50 people. And then now it's down to like don't be with people.
Oh.
But at this point, at the time of this thing, Governor Eric Holcomb of Indiana had said, don't be in a room with more than 250 people. But the New Life Christian Center in Indiana had a service and said, we're hoping to have at least 250 people here at church tomorrow night. Boom, baby! Yeah! Fuck you! To suck it, Indiana governor, and also science, and also our own health. Ha 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 ha! So, yeah, that's what we got. That is what we are dealing with in the world today. We got some churches closing down, stopping their faith healings, proving that they don't actually believe what they believe, and other churches proving what they believe and hopefully killing themselves off. That's just so mean. We don't
really
actually
mean.
want people to die. You're just being dumb. Everybody, you're being dumb.
I mean, speak for yourself, Dan.
I Kind of, yeah. I mean,
no.
Here's
Of course we don't want people to die.
Statistically,
No.
they're likely to be killing off Trump supporters and people who believe in the rapture. So,
Yeah.
isn't that bad? Good Lord.
Dan, it's just so bad. It's just wrong. You can't.
It's just wrong.
You can't. Right?
Yeah.
You can't. I mean,
Well,
there's a certain amount of schadenfreude to the whole thing. Right?
Look, if our species is going to be dumb, at least let it kill off the people who are the dumbest and thin that part of the herd.
Now,
That's all I'm
this
saying.
is actually interesting because if you take sort of the basic idiocracy sort of theory about like where humanity is going, right? The idea that really only the uneducated and are reproducing at high enough numbers to like really repopulate the planet, right?
Yeah.
Poor and uneducated, right? That's sort of the premise of the movie, and that like the people who ideally should be reproducing in large numbers, the highly educated and whatnot, just tend not to have as many kids, right? And so what happens in 500 years if this whole thing continues to bear out?
Right.
Well, this kind of comes along, and you're right, it thins out something, doesn't it?
It's an evolutionary mechanism to prevent that scenario.
Is it a safeguard? Has something kicked in?
It's just,
is this the only way our species survives?
Yeah, exactly. All of the smart and educated people start quarantining themselves and just let the ding dongs go off and kill each other. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're in a lot of trouble right now. So listen, if you guys want to yell at us, you're allowed to. You can get mad at us. You can write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yep, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and just click the like button a bunch of times.
And while you're there, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group. We will let you in. Also find us on Twitter @TGIAtheist. Hello, Dan.
Come in, Frank.
Are you there?
I'm here from Tokyo. Where are you from? Come in, London.
Yeah. Anyway, I can't do voices. I'm not that person, Dan.
No one expects you to be.
Well, there was a gap there where it felt like I should jump in and be like, "This is London," but I can't do that.
That's okay.
Anyway,
That's okay.
Well, Dan,
you have other skills.
Yeah, like I'm about to click on something and it's going to play audio.
Yeah.
That's a thing I can do. Dan, I don't know who this. Oh boy, who this pastor is who we're gonna pay a little attention to here.
Yeah.
What's his name? He's got some.
I don't have him pulled up. Hang on.
Let me see. Perry Stone.
Okay. That's
Perry
right.
Stone, sitting in a beautiful studio set.
Oh my goodness, this
really
set
just lovely.
What's amazing about this clip is that if you pan at one point it pulls back. Like it starts out tight on him. Mm-hmm. At one point it pulls back, and first of all, the tight shot includes some lattice, some cheap Home Depot wooden lattice Beautiful. On one side, and
it's straight from like a community television set, right?
Yeah. This fake rock pillar in which is embedded, and it's very, very fake. It looks terrible. Yeah. In which is embedded a dry erase board.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
It's bad. He's sitting at a table holding a handheld microphone. And then they pan back and you see that it is some strip mall bullshit with a bunch of chairs and 6 people in the audience. But he has, to date, the best coronavirus God theory that I have heard. So I thought we had to play it.
In this coronavirus, here's what's strange. It's like 70, 80-year-olds. You have to be careful. Go back to when Moses brought the children of Israel out of Egypt to the Promised Land. Amalek was a tribe, but the Jewish rabbis say Amalek is a spirit. Amalek rose up and went behind and started killing the old and the weak and the feeble. It's in your Bible. The old and the weak and the feeble, and tried to kill the old and weak and feeble before they could get into the Promised Land. Is anybody tracking with me? So it's almost like a spirit of Amalek that's trying to attack our older people. And let me tell you why the enemy wants to get rid of our older people. They are the ones who are established in the Bible. They are the ones who know enough about the word not to take the mark of the beast. They're the ones that wouldn't take it. The younger generation, oh, cool, put it in my hand. It'll open a door. Wow. You know, they're going to take it. They're not going to be ready unless they're taught. And so the older people in America, in the Southeast, and, you know, are the conservative people. And this is attacking them to get that group out. I'm going to say it like it is. And I'm talking spiritually. I'm not talking medically. I'm not talking naturally. I see things by what's the result behind it spiritually. Okay? And it's you know, you get rid of all these people who resist the beast and resist the Antichrist and resist the system, then you have a whole nother socialist, pro-communist, give me your money and I'll do what I want with it group coming up. You see them, they're out there, 35% of America's into it, and they have no respect for those older people that have made this country great.
Dan, it's the mark of the beast. What a bunch of dummies these young kids are, you know.
Oh, they're kids these days, they don't get it.
They're going to get the mark of the beast. And it's the oldies that know better, Dan. Yeah. Oh, it's always the oldies. Now, see, you know, he's counteracting what we need to have happen here, Dan. He's out there putting the fear of all of this into these old people. You need to stick around.
Yeah, the truth is, it hadn't actually occurred to me until we were listening to it just now that, I can't give him too much shit for not having a lot of people in his audience because maybe they're actually socially distancing. Maybe that's the thing that they're doing. I don't know. It's hard to tell. You know what I mean?
It looks sparsely attended.
Yeah.
They're actually not seated next to each other.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's funny.
Yeah. Well, you know, Satan is, of course, responsible. I love that it's not God that sent this pestilence into the land. I don't know if he knows his Bible. He certainly knows about this Amalek thing, but like the Bible is very clear about who sends plagues into the land.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it ain't Satan.
Yeah,
there you go.
They're always willing to give Satan a lot of power. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Satan's a tricky little dude.
Well, and the Satan of the Bible is he's basically Loki. He's just a trickster. He's not like, he doesn't have a lot of power.
Right.
He just tries to silver tongue you into doing the wrong thing. Right. But the Satan that these guys believe in, holy shit, he can just do whatever he wants to.
He makes viruses.
Yeah.
He sends them out into the world. He convinces people to eat wild animals that they shouldn't be eating.
Oh, goodness. Okay, well, we had some folks write into us. I'm going to start with Terry, who said, hey, a few weeks ago, you had a segment comparing the preaching of Mormon missionaries and Jehovah's Witnesses. This reminds me of an experiment I ran for a few years to test which of these two groups had the greatest courage.
Oh.
At the time, I lived at a private nudist resort. The only environment I could find where I didn't dress like a total nerd. And each month, I would write to the local Mormon temple and Jehovah's Witness congregation, asking them to come to my place and teach me their religion.
No.
Wondering who would take me up on my offer first. I thought it would be the J-Dubs, since the Mormons would be too reluctant to give up their magic underwear. I guess they had to be nude, too, to come in.
Oh.
The results of my test were tied at 0. No responses from either side when I was forced to leave my home and relocate for work. I still don't have an answer as to which group is desperate enough for converts to preach in such an environment. So I was hoping you would ask your listeners if any of them live in a clothing-free community to continue my test and report the results. Well, Terry, there you go. The call is out.
Well done, Terry. Oh, that's amazing.
I don't know how many of our listeners are nudists, but there you go.
There's got to be a few.
Frank is a never nude. I don't know if you guys know this about Frank. He
always in cutoff jeans.
He has cutoffs on under anything he's wearing.
Whatever.
Oh man,
right.
we had a voicemail, right? Let's
listen
to one of those.
Two voicemails.
Let's listen to one of those. We got other emails, but we'll get back to them. Let's listen to a VM.
Here's this listener has a very specific question about a nun. All right, let's see what this is about.
Hey, Frank and Dan. This is Nick. I live in Central PA. Have a bit of a conundrum. I work in a Catholic hospital, and there's a nun that's coming back, and she was Elizabeth, and now she goes by Sister Elizabeth. And I'm curious, I don't want to encourage the sister part, but at the same time, that's kind of the title she wants to go by. I feel like I should respect that in the same way that someone should respect, someone who's trans and chooses a different name. But I'm kind of at odds with myself on it. So I don't know. Love the show. Keep up the good work, guys.
Well, thanks, Nick. For that is it's an interesting thing, right? Because
I'll say this: a trans person, when they tell you that they're, like if you know them while they're transitioning, right? They may ask you to use a different name, right?
Yeah.
And I, by my way of looking at it, they're doing something that they didn't really choose, right?
Right.
Whereas a nun, Sister Elizabeth chose to be Sister Elizabeth, but I would still extend her that courtesy of using her little title there.
Can you do a nickname? Can you do Sis Liz? Is that a thing?
Sis Liz?
Hey, Sis Liz, what's up? Just make it cute. I don't know. Have some fun with it. Let's play around. Let's have a good time.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, titles are funny things, right? Like,
yeah.
And it's also, to be fair, it's also a Catholic hospital. You did mention.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I don't know.
My whole thing, I feel like I just like to default to respect, and and you don't have to respect her beliefs, you don't have to respect her church because it's awful, but you can show some respect to another human and just be like, okay, I get it. You went through a lot. You've made commitments that are meaningful to you, so I will honor at least that much, at least the honorific. You know what I mean? Like the saying the honorific doesn't mean that you support what she stands for. It doesn't. It just means you're calling her by the name that she wants to be called.
Yeah, and this isn't like, calling somebody like the Mormons do, right? The just the general members of the ward, they call it Brother Smith and Sister Jones and whatnot. Like, it's not somebody who's like, no, you need to call me Brother so and so because that's my thing, which would be really weird. I would feel fine just being like, you didn't really. It's just a thing that you guys do. It's not like a. Dude, we're not acknowledging your station in life.
Right.
I don't know if becoming a nun comes with like a certificate, or
it comes with something,
or any letters after your name or anything like that. But she did a thing, right?
You got to go through some shit to get nunhood.
She's changed, most likely, her entire getup that she wears every day. She's really into this thing, right?
It's a commitment.
Yeah, just call her Sister Elizabeth.
Yeah. My
It's
question
fine.
is, do the really woke nuns, are their pronouns sister? Does that what that counts as?
I don't know.
Anyway, all right. The next email, we got another email from Daniel. Hi, Frank and Dan. Regarding your toilet paper discussion, we talked about how people are hoarding the toilet paper in these United States.
Am I in
and
trouble
it's
on this
stupid.
one? Did I take?
No.
Did I take a stance that somebody?
Here's
So I did
here's
take a
what
stance.
here's what Daniel says. It's not just you crazy Americans this time. Here in Australia, there are fights in the shops over toilet paper.
Oh,
I shit
boy.
you not. 3 women were involved in a fight, and 2 were charged as a result.
Oh my.
People are also hoarding pasta and long life foods.
Yeah.
I'm now waiting for all out anarchy to break out.
Yeah.
Just wanted to also say I enjoy the show. I've been a long time atheist. And whilst religion is far less of an issue here, we still have work to do. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, pasta, it's gone. It's not findable.
Yeah. No, you're wrong. Chickpea pasta, plentiful and readily available.
I mean pasta.
You can't find flour, but if you want almond flour, no sweat or whatever, some weirdo flour.
What are people doing with all this flour? Like, are they really doing isolation baking? Like, I know it's kind of a joke, but like, are they really like, oh, I don't have anything else to do and just baking? No,
Yes.
I know they're not.
No,
I know
they
not.
are.
They are?
They are. Well, and here's
That
the thing
many
about
numbers that we have no flour at the stores? Like, it's
Let me tell you something about
insanity.
Utahns and flour. I don't know about the rest of the country, but here's what I know. Mormons have food storage. They are prepped and ready to go. They got all the food storage in the
They're
world.
supposed to.
They're supposed to. But most of them do it. Most of them are pretty good about having some serious food storage on
So
hand.
apparently, though, our hoarding numbers in Utah are like at the top of the pack, right? Like we have some hoarding situation that's like the worst. One of the columnists for the Salt Lake Tribune, he suggested that it's actually Mormons who feel guilty for not having food storage that are
So they're
now
building it
like
up.
double. Yeah, they're like, oh God, no, I have to do it now, right? And they're the ones who. That's the reason why I'm wiping my butt with, old newspaper.
Right. Well, here's
Which isn't true. I'm fine. I've got toilet paper.
Here's my flour hypothesis. My hypothesis is that so many Mormon families have completely oddly made part of their food storage, a significant part of their food storage, giant 5-gallon buckets of wheat and like oats and whatever.
Yeah.
And they don't have a clue what to do with it. They just know they were supposed to have like good food storage and wheat stores for a while. So they went out to their garage. They took one look at those buckets of wheat and were like, yeah, I can't do anything with this. I'm going to go get flour. And they all ran off to get flour.
Oh, see, my mom actually had her own flour, like little mill thing, right? that you could put the wheat from the food storage into, and it was electric, the whole bit. Clearly, sort of like I don't want to say handmade, but definitely from some sort of like cottage, like workshop type thing, right? Like this was somebody's like second job making
ye old
wheat
flour
meal.
mill.
Yeah, it was like had wood. The casing was wood, right? But it had this little motor in it. But it also had a hand crank. So if the power ever went out, you could sit there and hand crank out your own flour.
Boom.
Yeah.
She's ready.
Yeah. And my mom, that woman's dedicated to food storage, and she rotates it like you're supposed to. So she does use the crap that they have. And for the longest time, she kept making this really mealy, chunky, gross, like weedy, like true, like whole wheat fucking bread that was really fucking gross when I was a kid.
Yep.
She also tried all sorts of other things. Like there was this one morning where I got a woman, God bless her. She's a decent cook, but she'd also like do odd things sometimes.
Yeah.
She like was trying different ways of just like cooking wheat to see if you could like just eat wheat. I had a bowl of like fried wheat one morning for breakfast.
Hey, it worked for Kellogg.
It was just like, what is this? And like I objected after like 2 bites. I was like, no.
Yeah. I'm afraid not, Mom. This has not worked. Oh, my goodness. Hey, we also had Tony write into us who said, I meant to email last week, but it totally slipped my mind. Anyway, I'm a former Jehovah's Witness, and I have this one weird trick for getting rid of J-dubs.
Oh?
Everyone always hates when the J-dubs show up at the door. Instead, open the door and politely tell them you're not interested and you'd appreciate it if they didn't come back. Your address will be put on a list and you won't get any more visits for a few years, after which a pair of elders will show up and check to make sure you still feel the same way or to see if somebody new has moved in. Tell them you're still not interested and the cycle will repeat.
Interesting.
I had no idea.
I didn't know
Apparently
that either.
they,
So if
they're
you
keeping
slam
track.
the door and tell them to fuck off, they might just come back next week.
But if you just politely
But if you
ask to be
politely
removed
ask to be removed,
Interesting.
I would not have guessed that.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
You would think that they, like, due to the experience of going door to door, would just know, oh, we're all on that list. Please take all of us off of your list.
We should have there should
None
be
of
an
us want-
opt-in clause, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. All right, we have another voicemail.
Yeah, do it.
And I'm just going to play this one.
Hello, Frank and Dan, and fellow atheists. This is Greybeard from Norway. This is quite a fun time to be calling you guys, and just a reflection on the latest post on the Thank God I'm Atheist Facebook page and how the different governments are handling the outbreak. I'm the one reporting from Norway, quite high up in there, and I can see the Canadians are having about the same measurements taken by the government as we have in Norway and Denmark. Not to make fun of anybody's way of handling this, but it's what is quite a strange tendency is that you see less of the religious spewing out of good advice right now, and people are actually taking the official advices into consideration and doing what they're told based on science and reports and numbers and statistics instead of trusting their God, except in a few cases, which I believe you guys will be reporting on in this week's podcast, in Israel and Iran and also some Orthodox churches in Cyprus, I believe, have been issuing holy water sprays to people in the congregation and stuff. But otherwise, it seems like science might be winning if we stay alive to gloat about it later. So, looking forward to the show, and have a nice day, guys. Bye.
A call all the way from beautiful Norway. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And never miss an opportunity to gloat.
Honestly,
if it's presented.
You feel free to make fun of other places for how they're dealing with this, because especially the United States of America, where we're doing our damnedest not to learn any lessons from anywhere else in the world. We're trying really hard. The scientists keep intervening and like ruining it, but boy, our current administration is trying its damnedest to stay behind the curve. We didn't even talk about all of those examples that he mentioned, and all the examples. There was an example I read about in Poland where a priest was hellbound to make sure that he was going to make sure that everybody drank holy water because, quote, Christ does not spread germs.
Oh God.
So. Nice.
No, yeah, you're right. Christ doesn't, but you are.
But you are.
You are. You're spreading germs. Good for you. Well done. Awesome.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The world is a weird and wacky place. But some good things happen in the world, including people being generous and giving us money.
Yeah, that's true. We actually have a couple new patrons on Patreon this week. We have Ellen, who's a new faithful listener to the show.
Splendid.
And
Thank
we
you.
also have Rachel, who's a new venerable listener to the show. So that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you to the both of you. And
wonderful.
As always, you guys can go to thankgodimatheist.com.
Yeah.
And you can click on the support tab.
It's the easiest thing in the world. This is look, kids. Some of you can't afford anything right now because, like me and actually Frank, you are in an industry that right now is being decimated by the fact that nobody's allowed to go out.
Yeah.
I'm in the entertainment industry. All of the plays in our city are closed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an actor. Frank is in an industry that relies on everybody going out, and people are not allowed to go out. So,
Yeah.
look,
So there you go.
If you are like us, please feel free. Look, we understand if you're not donating to the podcasts, but we are going out of our way to create content for you. And if you're someone who's in an industry where you can afford it, help! Please help us.
So it's thankgodimatheist.com. Click on the support tab, and we would be remiss to not mention our top donor, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
Well, thanks everybody, and also just keep in mind, if you can't afford anything, you can still go to iTunes or wherever, give us 5 stars, help counteract the dickheads who are giving us 1 star without listening, and that's always helpful. And share us with your friends.
Yeah,
And that's how you can help.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Oh, Frank.
Dan.
Look, it's crazy time. It's just crazy times.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking the other day with my octogenarian mother.
Oh, yeah.
Who has never seen anything like this in her long and storied life. I've never seen anything like it because I'm even younger than she is.
Are
strangely.
you?
Yeah.
Than your mother?
Yeah, that's how that works. And it's a weird time. We had we've got this. They got this outbreak on. Mm-hmm. It's a fun little thing they're doing, and then we here in Salt Lake City had the dickens shook out of us this morning. We woke up to madness. The earth got wobbly.
It was really bizarre. It was bizarre. It was. I mean, nothing prepares you for an earthquake, right?
No,
because it just happens, and it was it was shocking. And then of course we've had aftershocks galore, just all day.
I felt one while we were recording. So
yeah,
a little one, but there you go.
And so it's been a very I feel very unsettled. I think that's the best way to.
It's an unsettling time.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. We have one view of it. The churches have to, by definition, have to take a different view on this kind of stuff. And where is your mind going to go if you are a true believing, God-loving, kneel down and pray worshiper? You're going to feel a little biblical about this shit. It feels like the end of time. Look, Moroni dropped his fucking horn. The world is coming to an end, people.
Well, I mean, we are just one minor catastrophe away from apocalypse. I mean, it really, really feels that way. Tomorrow, all we need is locusts or frogs or I don't know.
Yeah,
just anything.
Hawaii had tornado warnings,
right? Anything is going to feel Like, it's just like, what the fuck? I can't believe I just stubbed my. There's coronavirus. There was an earthquake, and now I stubbed my toe.
Now this.
When will it end?
It's clearly the end of the world. Here's the thing: when you have an end of the world, like prophecy, just looming at all times over everything, it's just going to be triggered.
Yeah.
When shit like this goes down. And there's nothing. We should mention that, like, looking at geologic time, which earthquakes kind of make you do, there's nothing out of the ordinary that's happening here.
No.
Just, sometimes you get a big, massive outbreak of a virus.
Yeah.
And sometimes, frequently, you get an earthquake. We have friends. I have friends in the Bay Area that get them all the time.
Yeah. Well, I actually had this thought when the whole thing was declared a pandemic, right? I remember thinking, I was just kind of like, oh wow, like all you need, right, is for there to be a hurricane or a tornado or a volcano, and it's going to get all the religious people all stirred. Oh, it's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. I mean, I didn't think earthquake in Salt Lake City, right? Of course.
Right.
But then I was like, wow, like I guess what we have today and what makes it so easy to see through, right, is we have modern communications. We sort of have eyes on the world, on the whole world all the time, right? We know what's going on. And so it actually makes it harder to turn something like an earthquake on top of, a deadly, or at least dangerous virus. It's a lot harder to turn that into end days. It just is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it might trigger those things for the people who do believe it, but then even they have to step back and go, oh, well, I guess it was just an earthquake here. Oh. Right, like if all of a sudden the whole earth started shaking, right, and if all of a sudden there were locusts fucking everywhere, then I would have to rethink a thing or two, right? Like I would have to be like, wait a second, that's not normal, right? But like you said, this is just normal. Like these things happen, right? Weather happens, the earth moves and quakes,
Right.
Volcanoes erupt.
Yeah, you make a good point in that, like in biblical times, an earthquake is the whole earth. It might as well be. How do we know?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Everybody that I know is within the distance that would feel this earthquake.
Well, here's would we call it an earthquake if they were brand new today? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a stupid. Well, it's the earthquake. The whole earth. The earth is quaking.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like we would we'd call it
seismic tremor. Seismic or something.
A good shake. Right? Which is what we have.
Yeah. I mean, it's just an interesting thing when your religion, when your belief system is based on Bronze Age thought, Bronze Age writing, Bronze Age tech.
Right.
You're gonna have a weird perspective on what's happening now because like you say, we know what's going on.
Yeah.
We have explanations for most of it. We understand plate tectonics. We understand all of this stuff. We can't predict an earthquake, but at least we know what it was when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that God of the gaps is getting smaller and smaller, but they're hanging on to those gaps so hard.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're good gaps.
It's just so
gaps
funny.
Go.
However, so here's the big question, though, because a lot of people would say, yes, the religion is false. Yes, it's silly, but it provides comfort in these scary times.
And here's the deal. As I'm leaping out of bed, right, I wasn't in search of comfort, right? I was in search of, I need to put myself where it's safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know that it's kind of a little passé to put yourself in a doorway. I found that out today, right? Apparently, apparently this is not what we do in earthquakes anymore. We're supposed to drop and grab onto something, right? Which I think is a little insane. And hold on.
Face
Stop,
down and
drop. Yeah. Curl up.
Yeah.
Hold on. I don't know.
Well, and yeah, you guys all have to do your own research on what to do in an earthquake. But the fact of the matter is that yes, praying to God won't help you, but will it give you something at least mildly comforting while you're in position waiting for the shaking to stop? My vote is maybe.
No. I would say in that kind of event, you're just getting yourself through it. You might do a little sweet Jesus, right? Oh Jesus, oh help me, right? As like you're trying to, I don't know why I did that voice, but trying to find your little safe spot, right? And then you found it. Jesus helped you, whatever, right? But then I would say that for something like COVID-19, right?
Yeah.
Like people are really looking for comfort in that. It's kind of a different thing. It's a slow burn event, right? Like we just got a little pepper put on our situation, and that's going to pass real quick, right? But this COVID thing, like, I don't know. I haven't been longing for comfort. I've been outside of like the comfort that you get from, your loved ones, right? Like that has sufficed, for me.
Yeah. For me, I feel unsettled. I feel ill at ease. And
but
I
so
would
do they, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do. But the question is the prayer that they're doing, because here's my theory on prayer. I do have a theory. And my theory is that it is secretly, it's a distraction. So like in times of terror, like, there's an earthquake or whatever, it can be a good way to focus yourself on something that isn't the scary thing until it's over. So that's one comfort. And then the second comfort for me is I think it's a meditation. It is a way of sort of reframing the situation for your brain so that you're not focused on the fear, you're focused on something that feels like it could be a help. But I don't think it's exclusive to them. And I think that if we practice something like a meditation or if we are mindful, if we have a mindfulness practice and we acknowledge the reality of the universe, which is that there's no, metaphysical or supernatural magic that's going to help you. You are on your own, but you can master your own reaction to the universe. And if you can do that, if you work to do that, you can be in. There's some good things can happen for you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Of course.
I feel like
But you think that prayer gets you some of that?
I think prayer does get you some of that. But I do think that whatever prayer can get you, you can get and better if you do it from our perspective. That's just my theory. And I'm a super genius, so it's obviously true.
Obviously. I mean, of course.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. Is that the takeaway?
It is for me.
Okay.
I'm sticking with it.
All right. Sounds good.
Well, if you guys have a different take on this, feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com. Let us know.
Or you can call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yep. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and become one of the legion of people that have clicked the like button.
And while you're there, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group. We will let you in. That's what makes it an awesome group, though, is that it's moderated, all of that.
Yeah. Follow Frank on Twitter @TGIAtheist. Speaking of our Facebook page, thanks so much to Mackenzie for all of her hard work on the Facebook page. Thanks to Amy and Danny for their work moderating the Members Only Lounge.
And a big thanks goes out to the Red Rock Hot Club and to Gordon Johnston for the use of their music.
And thanks to all of you for huddling in your social isolation and listening to our cute little program that we put on.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.